Over the last few years, I've ran 3 100-mile races, I've ran a couple 50-milers, I've ran well over 20 50Ks, and I set a course record at one of the 50-milers and one of the 100-milers. Since that time, someone's broken that record, but at the time it felt damn good to set a course record and win a race. So I say this because I've learned a lot about ultra running, and so if you're training for an ultra, I want to go over a main point that I think really helped me be able to finish and then eventually win these races. Maybe you're not shooting for a gold medal or even to podium. I think this video will hopefully help you with being able to figure this out. Ultimately, there will come a time, just being honest, ultimately there will come a time where you question yourself in the middle of the race and you wonder if you should quit. If you're doing a 100-miler, it could happen anywhere between mile 30 and 100, and that's a lot of time to deal with those thoughts. And so I think one of the most important things you can do is toughen the mind. And this isn't like original content per se, like everyone talks about mindset and getting tougher and grit and discipline. Like if you're in the running space, you hear that stuff all the time. I want to go over a couple things that I started doing that really helped me finish my first 100-mile race. I then won it a year later, but I was more concerned with the finishing it than the winning it, because when I won it, I knew I could run 100 miles. Before I'd ever done a 100-mile distance, I had only made it 66 miles, and would question if I could do it. So let's talk about this. I think the thing that I do and the way I want to set this video up as far as the frame is, I do things that are unconventional and probably not rational and maybe too much. And the reason why I say this is, and why I wasn't consciously doing this in the past, like before I finished my first 100-mile race, but I'm now realizing this is what I was doing. If you think about it, 100 miles is kind of not rational, and it's like too much and it's extra. And I'm cool with that. Like, I'm all about it. I'm running a 100-mile race in about 10 days. But my point being, if you're going to ask yourself to do something that's like non-conventional or just too much, I think a lot of your training has to be that to some degree. So I'm not saying you have to run 100 miles every week for an ultra. I'm not saying you have to do a 50-miler every week to be able to finish a 100-mile race. I'm not talking about volume per se. What I'm saying is doing things that your brain is like, this is outrageous, why am I doing this, I should stop. So for example, when I was training for this 100-mile race and well into me like winning it the next year, I took a cold shower every single day. It wasn't about the benefits for me. I can honestly say one of the reasons why I kept myself doing it was because I knew every time I got in the shower, I would feel like, oh man, I don't want to do this, and then I would turn it on. I would sit under the cold shower for a minute and then move on with my day. This is too much. It's not conventional. It's probably not rational, right? But for me, the act of my brain saying, I don't want to do this, and then me doing that, I think made me stronger and more resilient. There's another thing I did before I finished my 100-mile race, and it's a long story, but I was kind of mad at someone I was dating in particular at that time, and she and I had gotten into it wasn't a crazy fight, I was just upset, so I wanted some time alone. So what I did that night, instead of getting into bed, I did an hour of yoga. I biked for 20 miles on a stationary bike. I then went and ran 30 miles, and then I biked for 20 miles and did an hour stretching session after that. So that was all through the night. Now, if you think about that, that's too much. It's not rational. Like, potentially I'm putting myself at a risk of hurting myself before the race. But the act of doing something that insane, that crazy, walking out the other side, I was like, oh, I can at least do that. Maybe I can run 100 miles. So if you 100% believe you can do a 100-mile race, and I mean like 100%, like, I wanted to say I believed I could do it, but I was in doubts when I had not finished my first 100-mile race. I wanted to believe it. I knew people have done it, so why not me? But I was questioning it. And I think before you ever do anything for the first time, you're questioning it. So if you can honestly look at me and say, Reese, I 100% believe it, it's going to happen, great. Power to you. I think the majority of people question themselves and are a little concerned on maybe if they can or can't do it. And so I think what you do is you start doing things that are unusual or not rational or too much, because that's what you're going to put your body through. And the whole point of this is that you're conditioning the mind to be able to do these things that are not rational, right? So a couple other things I've done is like I think it was a 23-minute ice bath in like 50 degree, maybe it was a little colder, water with ice because it was my birthday when I did this. But I just knew it was an absurd amount of time to be in the ice bath, and it would just be one thing to check off and be like, at least I can do this, right? So I can at least sit in an ice bath for 23 minutes, 24 minutes, whatever it is. So I think hopefully what I'm trying to get across is you shouldn't try and do something that hurts yourself per se because you're training and you want to show up to the start line healthy. But you can do things that are unusual, not rational, maybe too much. And I think it gets your brain more comfortable and more used to the idea of doing something outrageous. So hopefully you got a couple examples out of things I've done. I think you do a lot of things like staying up all night and running, or maybe doing a 3-hour leg workout, or ice baths, or 3 hours of yoga. Because as much as yoga is nice, you're going to get an hour in and be like, I'm over this. Like, I want to move on with my life. So hopefully get something out of this video. I'm really excited for you. If you're running your first ultra, I'd love to hear in the comments about what kind of ultra you're running or what the distance is. I think when I finished my first 100-mile race, something really changed in my brain for the rest of my life, and it's been of solid use to have that under my have that like known that I'm having a hard time describing it, but I know what I can do. And when you walk into a Walmart and you're like, I can run a 100-mile race, I wonder if these people can. There's just something about that where I'm not saying I'm better than people, but I can do something that most people never will. And for whatever reason, that gives me some confidence and pride to be able to attack life a little bit better. So hopefully you like this type of content. If you do, this channel is just about running, getting better, learning from my mistakes, and sharing stories. So if you like that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. And if not, no worries. I still hope you got something out of this video, and I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.